But first, let's begin with the escalating tensions in the Middle East and an apparent plot to kill President Trump. According to the Wall Street Journal, Israel shared intelligence with the U.S. that Iran was planning to assassinate the president. For more on this, we're joined by senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata. Charlie, so I think the question that people will have is, it would almost feel as if there's like a standing order, if there's a target of opportunity that exists for the Iranians to take out somebody, whether it's President Trump or Prime Minister Netanyahu or any member of their respective administrations. But why are we learning the details about this particular plot? Is it because it went beyond the discussion phase into something that they were actually planning?
Yeah, Vlad, you know, standing order is a good way to put it. The Iranians have declared that they want to assassinate President Trump from back in 2020 when President Trump killed the Al-Quds leader, Qasem Soleimani. So there has been an ongoing death threat against President Trump. And even during the funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei yesterday, they were holding up huge banners that says, literally, Trump, we will kill you. So it's pretty much out there. Now we have to talk about the timing. So this came after a conversation that President Trump had with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in recent days. And President Trump said, yes, I am at the top of a hit list. So it kind of suggests that there's an urgency there. Now, in terms of, is this a new plot or have they shared intelligence? We've spoken to all of our contacts, and nobody seems to have that level of detail. And there are sort of analysts who are saying, well, maybe this is just Benjamin Netanyahu once again trying to encourage President Trump to continue in the fight against Iran, because obviously there are adversaries there. Israel would like to see Iran continue to be under military pressure that would come from the United States. In this most recent escalation in fighting, Israel has stayed out of that fight. Iran hasn't attacked Israel. Israel hasn't joined the fight with the United States against Iran. So I think we have to frame that when we talk about the details of this plot. Is it a new plot? Did it have anything to do with the president taking the old Air Force One back home rather than the Qatari new Air Force One? That may have weighed into some of the decision-making from the Secret Service, wanted to have a more secure airframe, that they had better ideas of its ability to fend off a potential fight and also have better communications. So that's where we are right now. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's been a standing order for his assassination from Iran. That's no secret. Why now? Where's the urgency? Is this a new plot? And if we can get any details, we'll absolutely share them.
So, Charlie, yesterday, as you may know, retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster said that the war wasn't anywhere near finished and that we're moving into a new phase. But where are we right now in this war? Because it seems like we're in this cycle of attacks, then talks, then attacks, then talks.
Yeah, Adriana, so we are in that cycle because that's self-evident. So the past 72 hours or so, we saw a huge increase in the amount of fighting between the United States and Iran. And we're talking about almost 10 times what we'd seen in the past. I shudder when I hear people say these are tit-for-tat attacks. Not what we saw recently. Those are 170 targets, and many more than that, so multiple airstrikes on 170 targets. Now, that went quiet overnight. Spoke to Central Command, the U.S. military organization in charge of this region this morning. I said, have you pressed pause? They said, Charlie, obviously. But they are ready to fight, and they can fight at a moment's notice. And I said, well, where does that notice come from? The White House. So that's where we stand right now. There is a hold, and it is a lever. This has happened before, where the United States has gone hard on hitting Iranian targets, sort of to persuade them back to talks, but the Iranians have gone right back. And by the way, the scale of the escalation, the counterattacks from Iran, something like 10 missiles were fired into Jordan. They were all intercepted. They tried to hit Bahrain, Kuwait, and yes, all of them were intercepted, officials tell me, or they fell short. But if they hadn't, we'd be looking at a much different situation today if any of those missiles or drones got through to U.S. troops, as they have done in the past. So what we saw in the past sort of 72 hours was serious. Now, pause, but it's only been paused for about 36 hours. So this is really a touch-and-go situation.
All right, Charlie D'Agata in Washington, thank you so much.
Thank you.